How you doing, guys? Glasgow here, doing my first informational type of a video. I never really planned on doing a video quite like this. However, something's been brought to my attention that makes me want to get some information out to as many people as possible. And what I'm going to talk about here today is a bill that has been introduced into the House of Representatives by Congresswoman Carolyn McCarthy from New York. And this legislation comes in the wake of the tragic shooting that occurred on January 7th, 2011 in Tucson, Arizona. It was the attempted assassination of Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, in which 6 people were shot and killed. Congresswoman Giffords herself shot, several other people hit and wounded, and it was a very, very terrible tragedy for Tucson and for this country. But the question is, how do we put a stop to these types of shootings? They happen all the time, have for many years. Well, Congresswoman McCarthy from New York has put together a bill that was introduced to the House of Representatives on January 18th, just 5 days ago, and it's called the Large Capacity Ammunition Feeding Devices Act. And in this act, a large capacity ammunition feeding device is defined as a device such as a, quote, magazine, belt, drum, feed strip, or similar device that has a capacity of, or that can be readily restored or converted to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition. And so that's very similar to the assault weapons ban of 1994. So basically any handgun magazine had to be a 10-round magazine. However, back then, I remember those times you go out and buy a handgun that would normally accept a 13-round magazine or a 15-round magazine, and they all came with 10-round magazines. You could still get the normal capacity or higher capacity magazines. They were just hard to come by, and they were very, very expensive. But Congresswoman McCarthy's new bill that she just introduced would make it illegal to, for one thing, import any of those magazines, so they couldn't be brought into the country anymore. And also would make it illegal for any of us to transfer one of those magazines. So you can't buy them, you can't sell them, you can't trade for them any longer. And so I have here with me one of the actual extended capacity magazines for a 9mm Glock. I've heard people such as Rachel Maddow on MSNBC, Congresswoman McCarthy herself, Geraldo Rivera on Fox News. They've all made the point that the only reason a person would ever want to own one of these magazines is to kill a lot of people and do it very quickly. And so I kind of wonder what my deal is, because I have a couple of them here. I've never shot or killed anyone in my life. And people use these, to go to the range. You can sit there and practice and putting a lot of rounds down range at once without having to go back and reload all the time. There are thousands of these. I mean, thousands of these. You go online, you can order them right now. Thousands of people have them. When was, other than the Tucson shooting, when was the last time you ever heard of someone shooting up a bunch of people with one of these magazines? I've never ever heard of it. Congresswoman McCarthy points to the Virginia Tech shooting that happened back in April of 2007, in which 33 people were murdered on the campus of Virginia Tech after they had just passed their big firearms ban. So nobody can bring a weapon of any kind on the campus of Virginia Tech. Yet a man walks in with 2 handguns, kills 33 people. It's like the biggest mass shooting in the history of our nation. And Congresswoman McCarthy points out how he used these high cap or extended capacity magazines to shoot all these people up, when in fact that man used the 10-round assault weapons ban compliant magazines to commit those murders. So what good does it do? I mean, it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't keep anyone at all more safe. However, it does do something else. What it does do is it gets things rolling. You start out, extended capacity magazines, you got to get rid of them. They're gone. But that also includes, you got to remember here, we're not just talking about handguns. Rifle magazines, 30-round magazines for your AR, 15, 20-round magazines for your Mini 14, stuff like that, gone. We got to get rid of those. And Congresswoman McCarthy is kind of reaching pretty far here, because she's getting rid of our 15 round mags. You know, our normal capacity magazines, those are gone. She's going to demo us all down. I got one right here. She's going to demo us down to 10 rounds. So we got to get that in place. That's the very first step. So now you can only get the 10 round magazines when you buy a handgun. What's that going to do to make us more safe? What's that going to do to stop crime, to stop these mass shootings in America? Nothing. It's going to do nothing whatsoever. So once you got those done, it's made no effect at all. I think the next step will be registration. You know, we've gotten rid of their high capacity magazines, and people are still getting killed. The shootings are still happening. We need Americans to now register their firearms. We need to know what they have. So we've got to go. We've got to register our firearms with the federal government. Every single one of them. If you don't, you'd probably be a felon and be sitting in jail. So now that they're all registered, doesn't do anything whatsoever to lower the crime rate. And now, what's the next step after registration? Got to move on to confiscation. You know, and we're probably going to start with the handguns. You know, got to get rid of handguns because, you know, we all just know they're only used for people to kill people with. So handguns are gone. And as we've seen recently in countries such as Australia, back in 2009, they got rid of all handgun ownership, private handgun ownership in Australia. The murder rate since then has gone up 9%. The armed robbery rate has gone up 44%. We would see the exact same thing here in the United States. So now that we've got them registered and confiscated, the crime rate is going to continue to go up. Now it's going to move on to rifles. They would start with your autoloader rifles like your AR-15, Mini-14, AK-47s. Get rid of all those, and then you move on to your bolt-action rifles. Eventually, getting all the way down to your single shots and your shotguns. And at that point, they've won. They've got exactly what they want. You know, I mean, ultimately, people, they want these things out of your hands. They want handguns gone, rifles gone, shotguns gone, and pretty much at that point, the government, at the point when you can no longer own a firearm, the government will own you. And pretty much that would be a total repeal of the Second Amendment. And when you get rid of the Second Amendment, the other amendments are going to come along right behind it. So what we're seeing right now is the first step. We're at the legislative step. You know, it goes legislation, registration, and confiscation. And would it do anything to save lives? Absolutely not. And here's the other question. Is that the point? Is the point to save lives? Or is that why, you know, members of Congress put forth these bills to make us all safer? You know, I kind of wonder, because I don't see anybody out there trying to put a federal ban on smoking. If you look at the Center for Disease Control statistics, over 400,000 people die from smoking in the United States every single year. Now, from firearms-related deaths, we see around 30,000 deaths per year. And yeah, that's a lot. But the other thing you have to take into consideration, approximately 55% of those firearms-related deaths are from suicides. So, can you really attribute those deaths to firearms? Would those people who were suicidal, would they not have killed themselves had they not had a gun? Maybe or maybe not. So what's that put us down to? About 15,000 people per year, and most of those are from homicides and accidents. And so 15,000 a year versus 400,000 people per year. Now, am I advocating for a nationwide ban on smoking? Nope. Nope, absolutely not. But the point is, if legislators were really concerned about keeping us safe and stopping Americans from dying, you know, I would think they would be targeting things more like smoking and alcohol and things like that than they would be firearms. So, you know, my point here being, folks, is we need to get the word out to our legislators, to our local representatives, to our representatives in the U.S. House, in the Senate, the governors, mayors, I don't care. We got to get the word out. Again, this is the Large Capacity Ammunition Feeding Devices Act. It was introduced January 18th of this year. We got to get the word out to our legislators, letting them know that we do not support this. We do not support this whatsoever. When I hear this talked about on the political shows, they keep talking about trying to ban extended capacity magazines. And when in fact they're not trying to ban extended capacity magazines only. They're trying to ban your normal capacity magazines also. They're going to dumb us down to 10 rounds. You can't sell them at that point. You can't buy them. If you have, as I do, I have quite a few magazines for my Glocks. If I decided to sell them, I have to keep the mags. I cannot transfer them anymore. That is different than the assault weapons ban of 1994. I think this is a huge power grab by a Democrat legislator there in New York. I'll talk to that real quick also, because there's been another proposal made by a legislator, again from New York. I'm not sure what their problem is up there. And this is by Republican Peter King. His proposal was that we make it illegal for anyone to be within 1,000 feet of a federal official. Now you tell me how that would have helped Congresswoman Giffords back on January 7th. It wouldn't have helped her at all. That was a man hell-bent on destruction. His plan was to kill her, to kill a bunch of other people. And a law banning him from having the gun there in the first place would have done nothing. It would have done nothing at all. And I kind of fall back on that, the old cliche, and I think in this situation it's the best one for us to think about. Fear the government that fears your gun. Fear the government that fears your gun. I think that's absolutely true. Me personally, I've had my local representative from the state house at my house a couple of times recently. We've talked about firearms issues. He knows that I'm armed. I know he's armed. And we got no problem. We get along just fine. And so when you have these legislators who want to come out, they want to get rid of these. And guys, it's just the first step. They're going to get rid of these. They'll get rid of these. They're going to get rid of these. These are going to be gone. Okay. So don't even let them get started. You know, you can ban these all you want to. It's not going to make anybody any more safe whatsoever. And it's just the first step. Legislation, registration, confiscation. Guys, get the word out. Contact your local, your state, your federal representatives at every level. Let them know that you do not support the Large Capacity Ammunition Feeding Devices Act introduced this year, January 18th, 2011. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Glasgow. I hope everybody acts on this. This information doesn't do anyone any good if we don't act on it, if we don't let those legislators know that we do not support this. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.